welcome back to my channel. My name is Nandi. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about how to say no. I know that this is something that a lot of people struggle with, so hopefully my tips help you out. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and also hit that notification bell. And let's get right into this video. So when someone puts you in a situation, you have three options. You can either say yes and feel bad about it. You can say no and feel bad about saying no, or you can say no and not feel bad. But a lot of people would choose to rather say yes and end up feeling bad about their decision later. Before we talk about ways to say no, we have to talk about why it's hard for people to say no in the first place. So one of those things could be you don't want to come off as aggressive. I know if someone says no, then people are so quick to just jump to, you're so aggressive, you're so confrontational, and things like that. You don't want to feel like you're rejecting people. You don't want to seem like you're letting people down. You don't want to feel like you're the bad guy, and you want people to like you, which is probably the biggest reason that a lot of people say yes, even when they want to say no, is because they want to continue to be well liked. They want to continue to come off as the good guy. They don't want people to dislike them, so on and so forth. So to avoid coming off as all those negative traits, people would rather say yes. But as I mentioned in my boundary video, you have to be able to communicate and use your words so that way when you do want to say no to someone, they aren't able to question your decision. So what are some reasons that you should say no? Well, one of the reasons is because you don't want to be a yes man. When people ask you for advice, you don't want to be the person that is constantly agreeing with them. When someone asks you to do something, you don't want to be the person that's constantly taking too much on your plate, even when you know you can't handle it. And that brings us to reason number two of why you should say no. It adds more to your plate and people take advantage of you. When you are constantly just telling people, yes, you'll do this, yes, you'll do that, anything they ask, you are always available. You can always find time to get it done. Then people are going to constantly ask you to do things for them, even things that they can do themselves. Even when they see that you have a lot on your plate and that you're struggling, they're just going to continue to ask you to take on more and more and more because you allow them to. It's a slippery slope when you start taking care of other people's needs at the expense of your own. If you know that you have things to do, you just have to say no, and so now we are going to get into examples of when you could say no. The first example is when you know that you're too busy. So if you know that you're too busy, I know that everybody wants to be helpful and you want to seem like you're a helpful person, and you can still be a helpful person, but you can also look out for yourself. You don't want to add on a lot of things on your plate just because someone asks you for help. If you are too busy and you can't give them the help that they need, then it is okay to say no, and you shouldn't feel bad about that. Another example of when it is good to say no is when you feel obligated or guilty about saying no. So if you are constantly that go-to person for someone, it can be hard to have people ask you to do something and then you have to say no because you have a lot going on. So you start feeling guilty about not being able to help them. But that is when you need to really look within yourself and figure out why you feel guilty about saying no, because it shouldn't be anything to feel guilty about. If you feel obligated to do things for people, then you should really evaluate the type of relationship that you have with that person, because it should be a give and give type of relationship. It shouldn't just be a give take type of relationship. And if you feel guilty about not helping someone, then that's when it starts teetering the line of a give and take, and you are the giver. If you feel like you're being used, it's absolutely time to say no. People will walk all over you. They will take advantage of you. especially if they know you're nice, especially if they know you're a yes man, and especially when they know that you're not going to say no. People are going to use you. They are going to keep asking you for favors. They are going to keep asking you to do things for them. And out of obligation or out of worry of feeling guilty or looking like the bad guy, you're going to continue to just do and do and give and give and give to people. And they're not going to do anything but take and take and take. And you are going to feel used. You're going to be emotionally drained, physically drained, mentally drained, and no one's going to care because they're just going to keep asking you for things, and you're going to keep doing it. So another reason you should start saying no is if your intuition tells you that you should start saying no. With intuition, there is, people always say, follow your gut. And I do believe that a woman's intuition never lies. So if you are, constantly doing something for someone and it just doesn't feel right, or you just don't feel good about what that person is asking you to do, then say no. If it is going to have you feeling a type of way, you should never want to put yourself in danger, or you should never want to go against your gut feeling. So definitely if your intuition is telling you to say no, then absolutely say no. And lastly, the biggest reason why you should say no is if it starts affecting your health. So like I said, everyone wants to seem nice and super helpful, and all of that is great and that's fine. But when it starts mentally draining you and physically having an effect on your body and you can't sleep, or you're always tired, or your health is diminishing because you're constantly putting other people ahead of yourself, then that is definitely when you need to pump the brakes and look at your relationships with people and really evaluate why you feel like you have to say yes to these people in your life. Okay, so now we're going to get into how to say no. So tip number 1, which is the biggest tip of them all, is to just say it. Don't beat around the bush. Now, when saying no, you start to get into reasons. So a lot of people feel more comfortable saying no when they know that they have a reason to say no. However, I want you guys to get comfortable with knowing that no on its own is a reason. You don't have to give a reason as to why you can't do something for someone. Now, it can make it easier if you're not used to saying no. And I don't want to say lie. I don't want to say lie and make up a reason, but lie and make up a reason. But if you want to say no, then, obviously having a reason makes it easier, but don't feel obligated. Please, please, please do not feel obligated to give a reason for saying no, because it's not necessary. No is a reason. So tip number 2 is to be assertive, but be polite. So obviously you don't want to come off, if you have trouble saying no, it's because you don't want to be seen as a mean person. You want to be seen as a helpful person. So, be assertive in your no, but obviously you can still do it in a very nice way. So for example, you can say, if someone asks, hey, can you watch my dog today? I have something to do. I have nobody to take her. Then you could say, I'm sorry. I would love to watch your dog. Unfortunately, I also am very busy today, so I'm not going to be able to. That is a clear-cut example of saying no. You gave a reason. It's because you're busy. And also, yes, and going back to the giving a reason, you can just say no because I'm busy. That's it. They don't need to know your life story. You don't have to break it down. Like, no because I'm busy is good enough. So be assertive, be polite. Tip number 3 is to set boundaries. So I already have a boundary video, which I will insert above. So you can click on that if you haven't seen it yet. But boundaries are definitely important when it comes to people asking you to do things and people feeling like they can run over your life. If you feel used or if you feel like people are constantly taking from you, then it's definitely time to set some boundaries and stick to them and enforce them. Tip number 4 is to understand people's tactics. When people ask you to do something, it's because they already know that you're not going to say no to doing it. They know that they can easily ask you and you'll be able to do it. And so it's really important to understand why people are asking you. Is it because they know that you feel guilty if you say no? Is it because you think that you owe them something? Try to understand why people are asking you to do things. Like, what is the reasoning behind asking you to do things? Tip number 5, and my favorite, is to be selfish. Be selfish with your time, be selfish with your energy. Just be selfish. Being selfish is not about, never doing anything for other people. It's more so doing things that feel right for you first. Being selfish means putting you first. And if people have an issue with you putting you first, then again, reevaluate the type of people that you have in your life. If people feel like they ask you something, you have to say no, or, you have to say no because you're their friend, or you have to say no because you're their daughter or son or whatever. Reevaluate those relationships that you have in your life, because you are able to be selfish with your time and you are able to decide what you do and don't want to do, and no one should make you feel bad about that. Last tip I have is tip number 6, which is to practice. So with everything else, saying no, it takes practice, and it is a lot easier to get in the habit of that if you practice with your friends, if you get support. Getting support from friends and family definitely will help. And also, if you really just have, a really big issue with saying no or setting boundaries or anything like that, it is never a bad idea to go see a therapist. Therapists are professionally trained and they are able to really help you get to the roots of why you act the way that you do, or why you do the things that you do. So if this is like really something that you struggle with, do not be afraid and do not be hesitant to actually seek help from a therapist. So that brings us to the end of this video. Again, if you have not checked out my how to set boundary video, I will put that right on top, because I feel like these two topics kind of go hand in hand. So just remember that it is extremely important that when things start to affect your health or your mental well-being, and if it starts making you feel like shit, to really say no and really set boundaries in place. It is okay to be selfish, and people should not have enough power over you to where you do whatever they want you to do. I just really want you guys to be healthy mentally and physically, spiritually, and to just really start taking control back of your life and really living the type of life that you want. If you allow people to treat you however, if you are scared to put your foot down and be assertive, then you are going to get walked over, you are going to get used, and I don't want that. You shouldn't want that. I don't want that. So it is very important to put boundaries in place and really stand up for yourself. So we have come to the end of the video. I hope you all really, really enjoyed. Be sure to leave me a comment below if you feel ever inclined. I would love to chat with you all. And don't forget to subscribe and like this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.